Hello, YouTubers. Thanks for tuning in. This is James from Bounty on a Budget. Today we walked the entire length of Sheridan Road in Rogers Park. The stretch starts in the far northeast corner of Chicago at Howard and Sheridan. That's the 7500 block of Sheridan. And then it heads south to Devon and Sheridan, which is the 6400 block of Sheridan. Okay, let's go. So, some facts and history about Sheridan Road. So in 1889, this road was named Sheridan Road for Philip Henry Sheridan, who was a general in the Civil War, who coordinated military relief efforts in Chicago following the Great Chicago Fire. Sheridan Road is a major north-south street that leads from Diversey Parkway in Chicago all the way north to the Illinois-Wisconsin border and beyond, all the way to Racine, actually. So, and throughout most of its run, it is the easternmost north-south through street closest to Lake Michigan. So from Chicago, it passes through Chicago's wealthy lakeside North Shore suburbs, then through Waukegan and Zion, until it reaches the Illinois-Wisconsin state line in Winthrop Harbor. In Wisconsin, the road leads north-south through Pleasant Prairie and Kenosha until it ends up on the south side of Racine in Mount Pleasant. Yep, we're at the corner of Birchwood and Sheridan. After we cross this intersection, we're going to be heading towards Fargo. So on the right is Alton Village North. It's a health facility for children and adults with developmental disabilities and other complex medical conditions. On the left, you can see a big tower of a building. It's actually called Farcroft by the Lake Apartments. It's one of Rogers Park's tallest buildings. The apartments were built in 1928 by architect Charles W. Nickel, who was said to be a magician, of all things. So the entire building was designed with no right angles, interestingly, in order to better support the flow of mystical energy. The building has 13 floors, referencing the very superstitious number 13. So most recently, billionaire preservationist and developer Jennifer Pritzker, related to the governor, J.B. Pritzker, completed a multi-million-dollar renovation of the 84-unit building in 2013. We are approaching Fargo and Sheridan. Whenever I see the street Fargo in Rogers Park, I think of the TV series Fargo, which interestingly was filmed, a lot of it was filmed in Rogers Park. The series starred Chris Rock. It was set in the 1950s. Really cool, well-done series. I think a lot of it was filmed on Lunt and Clark. On the right, you can see the Chalet Living and Rehab Center offering short-term living and medical rehabilitation. One of many rehab facilities in this area. We'll walk a little bit further down and the Natalie Solomon House, which is a senior living facility. And we are approaching the Super 8 Motel, a classic sign. And we're coming up on Chase. Across from the Super 8 Motel, you can see Picnic Wine and Provisions, which is a gourmet grocery and wine boutique, featuring cheese, charcuterie, and, of course, wine. There's a heated patio, I believe, and pretty cozy indoor seating. And now we're approaching Chase and Sheridan. So if you look across the street, you can see the Galaxy Food Mart right on the corner with the blue awning. Let's cross the street. So on the left, again, you can see Galaxy Food Mart, which is a great place to buy snacks and beverages. We are approaching the famous Lighthouse Tavern of Rogers Park. It's just a stone's throw from Lake Michigan, as you can see. The lighthouse has a comfortable, close-knit neighborhood vibe. It seems like everyone's family in there. You can stop in for a beer and a chili potluck, watch the football game, or even meet local politicians running for offices in the ward. All right, now we're walking towards the intersection of Sheridan and Toohey. If you look across the street, you can see Aparian Care, which makes the third nursing and rehabilitation center on this 3-block stretch of Sheridan. Let's march onward. So if you look on the left, you can see Leones Beach Park. There's a lot of interesting history about this park. So Leones Beach Park dates back to 1919 when the City of Chicago's Bureau of Parks and Recreation acquired the site from the Department of Water. The city purchased the property and its pumping station from the Rogers Park Water Company in 1907. Shortly after obtaining the property, the Bureau of Parks and Recreation remodeled the pumping station built in 1900 for use as a field house. By 1937, the park comprised 250 feet of beach frontage, including street and beaches at Chase, Greenleaf, and Farwell Avenues. In 1959, the Park District began leasing the park, then known as Rogers Park Beach, from the city. In 1966, the Chicago Park District renamed the site Leone Park after employee Sam Leone. He was a World War I Navy vet, avid swimmer, and he was the supervisor of lifeguards for the entire north side in 1955. All right, we're approaching the corner of Estes and Sheridan, and now you can see on the left Loyola Park and the Loyola Fieldhouse. Loyola Park sits on close to 41 acres of land. The large field house you see in the back is equipped with 2 gymnasiums, a wood shop, boxing center, and club rooms for rental. The park offers a senior baseball and softball fields, 2 hoop basketball court, sand volleyball courts, 4 tennis courts, a playground, as well as nearly 2/3 of a mile walking trail along the beach and Lake Michigan. All right, we've reached the south end of Loyola Park, and we're at the intersection of Greenleaf and Sheridan. There's a lot of beautiful views and iconic architecture in this area, as you can see. There's a lot of the classic 3-flat brownstone buildings. If you want to take a walk in this area, you're never going to be let down. There's a lot of access to public transportation. You have buses, you have trains. You really have everything you need. There's the Rogers Park signage too. You see that posted throughout the neighborhood up on the street poles. And we're passing by Grooming by Galdi. It's a neighborhood pet grooming and boarding facility. The dogs getting bathed in the window look pretty happy. And then we are walking towards Lunt, and on the left you can see Modern Food Mart if you're in the mood for a bag of chips or a bottle of soda pop. We are at the corner of Sheridan and Lunt. We're going to walk a little bit further south just to see what we can find. And here is Unan Imports. This is a perfect place to window shop and listen to a Rogers Parker originally from Tanzania lay down some rhymes.
The word Rasquai all the way from East Africa, Tanzania. Right here, Rogers Park. Bless up to Bounty and Budget. Bless up to Brother James. Bless up to Barbara. You see me, I say, you get to follow them. You get to follow them on YouTube. Bounty on Budget. Right here, Rogers Park. It's a big movement going on. They're setting up a documentary for them to understand what happened in this area of Chicago, the north side. So yeah, right here, Yunnan Imports. You see me, I say, we're blessing the elder. Yeah, we love what we do love because he loves us. Yeah, check them out, Bounty and Budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yunnan Imports is an upbeat gift boutique carrying body care products, art, jewelry, and clothing from Central and West Africa. We're now at the corner of Morse and Sheridan. For some reason, Morse is one of my favorite streets in Rogers Park. Maybe that's because that's where you find JB Alberto's Pizza. The buses you see are CTA 147 Outer Drive Express, going about Sheridan. The next big landmark you see is Leona's Restaurant. It always catches my eye because my grandmother's name is Leona. Recently, it has been plastered with a copious amount of Bill Wharton for 49th Ward Alderman signs. Let's continue. Across the street, we have popular deep dish pizza chain Giordano's. It seems like it's kind of a big controversy in Chicago, whether or not you like Lou Malnati's, Giordano's, or one of the local pizzerias, which tend to be my favorite. So, yep, and that's the corner of Farwell and Sheridan here. All right, let's keep moving. All right, across the street, you have Hops and Grapes Liquor Store, featuring a variety of wines and beers from around the world. You can also see Tai Chi Bubble Tea, which has a delicious bubble tea drink, any flavor you can imagine. I love the taste and texture of the tapioca balls in bubble tea. The Oasis Tavern, the Oasis closes at 5 a.m. in the morning. Late night, early morning partiers must love this place. So the Oasis is a laid-back neighborhood bar featuring billiards and darts. We are now approaching Sheridan and Pratt. Across the street, you can see the ornate Pratt Beach Apartments. Let's take another look at the architecture of the buildings on this part of Sheridan. Very ornate, very cool. Okay, we're back. On the left, you can see Armadillos Pillow. It's a mainstay for Rogers Park bookworms. We spent a little bit of time in here during the pandemic. It was still open briefly, and then they shut down. But yeah, they have a great collection of antique books and new releases. Much better alternative than buying books from Amazon. And that brings us next door is Flats and Sharps. It's a well-known music store in the area. They offer musical instruments and lessons all in one shop. across the street, you can see the new 400 Theater. Don't let the name of the theater fool you. It's actually quite old and has a lot of history. In fact, it's the longest continually operating movie theater in Chicago. The theater was originally built in 1912 as a vaudeville and movie house. It was called the Regent Theater. It had one screen and could seat 725 people. And in 1930, it was renamed the 400 Theater at the time. The 400 was a popular term for the top 400 people in high society. Keeping the name for 65 years, the theater did change with the times, splitting the auditorium into multiple screens and called itself the 400 Twin. The new 400 Theaters LLC took over in 2009 with the goal of keeping the tradition of the 400's rich history, showing first-run movies in 4 refurbished venues. This is also the site of my favorite Starbucks, by the way. We're at the corner of North Shore and Sheridan. This is where the Loyola campus visually begins in Rogers Park. Loyola University of Chicago is a private Jesuit research institute in Chicago, Illinois. It was founded in 1870 by the Society of Jesus. Loyola is one of the largest Catholic universities in the United States. Its namesake is St. Ignatius of Loyola. The red 4-story brick building on the corner is Campion Hall, which is a residence hall for Loyola students. Now we're at the Bop and Grill, which is American Korean fusion burger joint. They serve up huge juicy burgers with kimchi, and they're extremely delicious and extremely filling. But more about Loyola. Loyola is the flagship Lakeshore campus on the shores of Lake Michigan in Rogers Park and Edgewater. It's just 7 miles north of the Loop. Loyola's athletic teams, nicknamed the Ramblers, compete in NCAA Division I as members of the Atlantic 10 Conference. Loyola actually won the 1963 NCAA Men's Basketball Championship and remains the only school from Illinois to do so. The Ramblers are also 2-time NCAA champions in men's volleyball, which was in 2014 and 2015. And we are passing by Bruno's Lounge, established in 1956. Across the street, you see that tall building next to Campion Hall is Murtal, which is the largest building on the Lakeshore campus in Loyola. It is 19 stories high and can house up to 600 students. The building in front is where the Lyra Ensemble is housed. The Lyra Ensemble has been the artist in residence at Loyola for the past 25 years. Lyra Ensemble was instrumental in creating the Polish Studies program at Loyola. Now we're at the Loyola Red Line station. The Red Line begins at Howard and goes to 95th Street on the south side off the Dan Ryan. The Red Line connects you with a huge network of elevated trains and subways throughout the city. let's move on from the red line stop at Loyola. You can see all the convenience stores and shops located around and on the Loyola campus. You got a Target right across the street where I stop pretty regularly. They have underground parking. It's really convenient to get to. You have your T-Mobile, you have hairstylists, you have Subway shops. You have pretty much everything in this little area. You have a huge network of trains and buses to get you where you need to go. And that huge building on the left, by the way, I couldn't find much on that, but I believe it houses administrative buildings for the university. So right now we're coming up on Sheridan and Devon, and actually if you keep going forward, Sheridan splits, so it actually becomes Broadway up here, and then Sheridan a little bit further south towards Diversey. Okay, we're coming up on the corner of Devon and Sheridan. This is where Rogers Park officially ends. So past this, it becomes Edgewater. And Sheridan curves along here to hug the lake and then connects you to Lakeshore Drive. We hope you enjoyed the video through Sheridan Road in Rogers Park, and were able to see the street a bit from our eyes. If you've ever been around that area, tell us in the comments below what your favorite thing to do is, and even better, not so expensive. If you like this video, check out our other videos on how to get a bang without the bank. Thank you for the support and for subscribing to our channel.